Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Mortgage Coach Friday Mastermind. Every Friday, we are here to put on, I don't know, every time I do something like this, I want to do the best sales meeting in the entire mortgage industry right here, right now. If you are at a company and you are doing a better sales meeting than this one today, let me know. But that's always our goal, is just to inspire, tell stories, explain strategies. If you have questions, we're here to answer those. As my co-host today, I have Scott Nicholson, broadcasting live out of his home office in Yorba Linda. What's up, Scott?
Good morning. Good morning.
It's good to have you, man. So for anybody who doesn't know Scott, he is a top producing mortgage professional. And then he is, I don't know how to put it, but he is the king of the seller buy down strategy. You know, he helped us when we designed that product 10 plus years ago in Mortgage Coach. And then with rising interest rates, the seller buy downs come back in, and Scott is a leader in that. So Scott, it's great to have you, man.
Yeah. Thanks. Thank you.
So we're kicking off this call with two core topics. Although remember, guys, this is the mastermind call. So if you have a question, if you have something you want us to talk about, bring it and we'll try to fit it in. But the two topics seller buy down is within the topic is Realtor Lunch Learns. You know, how do you get those meetings and scheduled? You know, like we'll talk about some of the scripting, some of the sales strategy to even get ahead of a real estate company. Say, yeah, come on in. We want to hear from you. So how to get them, and then what to do in those meetings, how to show up, give you some scripting. I know Scott's working on sharing some of his slides and some of his content. So that's going to be a big topic. We also have some big news. Dan Keller launched the American Dream TV show in Seattle yesterday. And Dan is, I don't know, there's no one I know of that's doing a better. There's other people doing as good a job as he is. But when it comes to building a personal brand and becoming the digital mayor of a marketplace, he's playing at the highest level. And he posted it yesterday morning, and I looked at it before today's show, and he's already got 414 likes. And that's not no marketing, no advertising. That's just on his personal Facebook page. He's got 414 likes. It's probably more now, and it's trending. So to me, when it comes to personal branding, it's newsworthy. And Dan's going to try to come in. He's actually out on his boat doing some salmon fishing in the Puget Sound of Seattle, but he's going to try to join us if he gets a cell phone connection. So Scott, we don't have him yet. So why don't you and I, and by the way, if Dan comes, let's bring him in, let's embrace his topic and let him lead.
Yeah.
But let's just start with Realtor Lunch Learns. And if you could just kind of describe, what they are to you, like, what is a Realtor Lunch Learn? And then let's get into tactics and strategies around it.
Well, let me do this. Throw you a curveball since we're so impromptu today. So
yeah,
let me back you up and let me describe my 2019 plan moving forward, right? So in 19, there's a couple things that I want to achieve. I mean, it's simple. I drive coaches nuts. I mean, my coaches, they wanted me to track and all this stuff. And being a former golf pro, I drive them nuts because as a former golf pro, I didn't worry about results. I worry about execution, right? Shot to shot, hole to hole, and so on. The results took care of themselves. So going into 19, I had to step back and look at where the market's going, what direction that's going to be in, where can I provide the most help, where can I provide the most value, because it's critical for me and my business moving forward, from all of the entrants or participants that are coming in from the tech world, right? So I have to protect my business from being too commoditized. So I have to create value. So my simple mission in 19 was, how much value, I actually just wrote it down. How much value can I create, in 19 moving forward? And so under that umbrella, there's two topics I'm going to focus on. One is the seller buy down, because there's so much you can do under the seller buy down. For an example, If your area of expertise is with listing agents, what a great strategy to help listing agents. If your area of expertise as an originator and you have a bunch of buyer agents, what a great area to help with affordability and buy a little bit more house for the same income documents and monthly payment. If your area of expertise is, for an example, in renovation, right? And seller buy downs, which no one talks about, I alluded to just a little bit, and a lot of people don't know this about me. 65 to 70% of all my business is renovation. I do a lot of home style, Ks, VA renos, jumbo renos come into market. And what's so particular, what the seller buy down helps us with in that space, like in Orange County, we do high balance renovation, or throughout, I handle the state of California, Washington, and Nevada. And when we get into a high balance renovation loan, you go to pricing immediately, par pricing, it costs me 150 to 200 basis points to get to par. So it's really hard to pass that to a consumer. So how we structure that, and I'm going maybe a little bit more detail, and I'll get to this if Dan is not present and we need more space. Seller buy down and renovation work great. So my area moving into 19 is to creating that value in education. With the buy down and with reno, and they go hand in hand. And that's what I'm taking to my Lunch and Learns. That's what you saw the video clip of 2 minutes, that it started out for about 20 minutes of time I had on stage, turned into an hour and a half. And those are the two topics I brought.
Beautiful. So that's the content within the Lunch and Learn. So first of all, describe a Lunch and Learn. Where do you do them? How many realtors are coming? Who are you scheduling them with? Just to bring this leadership on how to get those one-to-many opportunities.
And so, I mean, you can do them as small as a power producing team, right, in an office. So you can pull out a team if it's 5 on a team, or I like the mini. I don't want it too big and it just gets too chattery and this and non-focused. I like them from 5 to a high producing team to about 50 is probably max. We just now are booking one for January for 19. I partnered with a realtor coach that I sat him down, explained it all to him, and he was just enthralled by it. So he goes, oh my gosh, this is incredible. Let's partner up. I'll help fill invite only, Scott. I'll bring the invite only agents to the table. We'll pay for it. I need you to come and speak and to present the material from different perspectives.
Got it. So is that, by the way, is that the only ones you're doing?
No.
Or, okay, so walk us through, and I'm sure there's, countless formulas, but let's walk through the most common formula, or, hey, think of yourself as a coach, speaking to the mortgage coach community. What is the most common way, and who should they reach out to, and what does the reach out look like to get one of these things scheduled from your perspective?
And here's what I would recommend to people is, and I'm going to take on the consideration you've never done one or you've done limited, right? So first thing, know your content you're going to speak about, right? That presentation that you have in your Facebook group that I put a snippet on, all I brought to the table that day was a video. It was a seller buy down video link that I had the broker bring up on a screen. I brought nothing to the table. It was an impromptu thing, but because I knew my product so well, the ins and outs, left and rights, I don't care what they threw at me. And that's critical to understand, because I don't care if you have the best setup, the best everything ready to go. If you don't know what you're going to speak about front and back, then that's a little tough. So do your homework. Number one, I would start small. Start with 5. Start with 3, 5, or 6, or 10, right? Start small and then just start, perfecting that. And each one's going to be different. So I think starting small, go to your, if you know 5, bring them together, bring them into a small office setting, bring them to your escrow company, bring them to your title company. I personally use escrow title all the time. They need speakers. They need content. They provide. They fill the room. It's everything. I just show up and speak and then engage with what are we going to do next, right? So start small, know your product that you're teaching them, and then keep growing through it, if that makes sense.
Makes sense. So a couple things. Community, if you're watching this live in chat, whether you're on the Zoom platform or you're in the Facebook platform, let us know if you've done one. Like, I would love to know how often you do Realtor Lunch and Learns, and I'd love to know how many people are you usually doing those with. So if you could just say monthly, weekly, never, a couple times a year, and I average 6 people, or I average 12, or I average whatever. So it'd be good to just find out from the community who's doing these, how many people are coming. By the way, go ahead.
Well, let me keep going. And I actually just jotted down real quickly for us, and I'll share it, the slide. So you need to be prepared. So yeah, I kind of just went through it on that first one, but be prepared. And when you're setting this up, here's what you're talking about. So when I opened that video that you guys are seeing in the Mortgage Coach community, when I opened it, I actually shared a little bit of a story. And I actually opened like this. I said, how many of you have seen Game of Thrones, right? So when I start like that, I get their attention immediately because it's relatable, right? Go, oh, yeah, we've seen all that. Okay, so imagine we're the inside the gates, and outside of the gates, right, are all the White Walkers. And what those White Walkers are representing, right, are all the Keller mortgages, the Zillows of the world, and there's evil out there that's coming through the gates and coming through. So my point is this. What are you going to do to protect your business that will be broken through those gates and will be inside of those walls? What are you doing today and for the future to protect your business? If you do nothing, they're going to overtake everything and you'll be done, right? So I started with that. And then I went into this thing. The very next, and so I let them marinate just for a second on that. Then I said, 3-to-1. What does that mean? 3-to-1. And I said, understand this principle. For every dollar you agents give me, listing agents, you give me to help with a rate on a potential buyer's payment is equivalent, and the same financial equivalent, to a $3 price reduction. So think about that. 3-to-1. So why are you reducing price $3 when we can do it for $1, right? And what do you think we're going to do with the $2 extra I'm going to save you? Think of what we can do there. We can price it right. We can take that back to the seller. So I told the story. I gave a ratio. And then my next point I brought up is now I'm going to explain how we achieve the 3-to-1. So I explained the seller buy down in its simplest form. And then I pulled up the seller buy down slide on the presentation behind me, and I walked through it. So I told the story, bigger picture here. How are we going to keep the White Walkers out? I moved into a simple 3-to-1 ratio, what that meant to them. And so now they're going, oh my gosh, I've been price reducing $3 all day long and I can only do it for $1. And then I went into what it is and then how we implement it.
So time out. I want to make sure I got this formula. So by the way, everybody, we have transitioned from how to get the meeting to what do you do in the meeting? And the formula, don't worry about it. I'm just, different people come in and out. I want to make sure that we're really clear on what was just covered. And then, so write this formula down right now. Story. You open with a story. And by the way, I would make the case that you not only open with a story, you tell a few different stories throughout the conversation that you're having. And by the way, the best lunch and learns, they're not just you going through PowerPoints, boom, 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 boom. I'm smart. Did you know this? Did you know that? Because by the way, a lot of the stuff you're showing them, they already know it. They saw it on social, they've already seen this. So they haven't heard your story. Your story is your story. So you open with a story, and then you said, if I got this right, kind of a punchline where you say the strategy. So story, strategy. Yeah. Is that right?
I followed it with the ratio, right? I explained the ratio. So I didn't explain that. I explained, did you realize if you gave me $1 in rate to help with your potential buyer on your listing, I'm speaking to listing agents here, right? So did you realize if you gave me $1 to help a potential buyer with rate, it's equivalent to $3 in a price reduction? right? So I let them think about that. And then I go, think about that. I can save you $2 to your net. Now, what are you going to do with that? And so I'll let that kind of marinate a second. And then I explained that the seller buy down, this is what it is, how it works, and how we achieve those those results.
Okay, so guys, this is important. So story, and then a very concise, very easy to understand explanation of the concept. And I'm going to actually make you repeat it one time, but hang on before you do that, Scott. For everybody that's listening to this, if you have a way, a sentence or 2 sentences, the way you start the seller buy down conversation at a Realtor Lunch and Learn to listing agents, please post that. Put that, if you're in Facebook right now, put it in comments. I'll read some of those out loud. If you are in our Zoom, put it in chat. I see Will just put something. Will, thanks. He said, great story. If the worst mortgage has the best rate, it's still the worst mortgage without a TCA. So anyways, anybody that has a good opening line, I will read it out loud. Please post it. So 2 things, Scott, I want you to repeat it. And then I want you to kind of emulate how you would walk through the TCA. Now, by the way, do you have one where you can show your desktop and actually almost, well, could you pull it up right now?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's do this. Let's emulate right now for the next 5-10 minutes, see if Dan Keller comes, where it's like we're almost, pretend we're a lunch and learn. Say what you're going to say, and then show us the way you would walk through a TCA, assuming you were in a live lunch and learn. Are you cool with that?
Yeah. So what do you want, my tag? You want the line, the tagline, or that?
Yeah, say the strategy again, because I know you're kind of repeating yourself, but I want you to repeat it. And
No,
then I want you to share your desktop and show it to us.
So to frame this up, so if I'm speaking to Dave Savage, who's a listing agent, right? So that's my narrative to him. Dave, did you realize for every dollar you give me, which would be seller concessions, that's equivalent financially to a potential buyer as a $3 price reduction? There it is. It's that simple.
So by the way, and no, I did not know that. And now do the whole thing and let me show you how it works and then share your screen.
Well, here's what's crazy. Stay on this subject just for a second. So let's change Dave up right now. Let's say Dave's a buyer's agent, right? So let's change who Dave is, and let's use the same formula, but change up how we're presenting to Dave. Dave, did you realize when we make an offer and we can get $1 in discount points, it's equivalent to $3 more in purchasing power to your client?
Boom, mic drop.
Yeah. That's all it is. So if you understand the formula, right? And then who are you presenting to? Is it Dave, the listing agent, or Dave, the buyer's agent, right? And then, so when I told the story, told them the ratio or whatever your sentence or your opening is, I don't care if you take that, just take that, master that. And here's what's crazy. Back in 08 and 7, 8, 9, when I figured out the ratio thing, it was depending on the program, it was 6-to-1. When markets calm down here, where we are present time, when they start to calm down a little bit and settle in a range, let's say whatever it is, 4.5, once they settle in and we start the spreads just to see a little bit more, you'll have more buying power with your discount points. Right now, you don't get much. You do. You get a lot, but you'll get even more spread and rate. So go ahead.
So let's keep on this topic though. You said that, by the way, everybody has 2 scripts, and we're not going to repeat it again. You could go back and listen to the recording if you missed it. Also, I'm going to share my screen while you're getting ready to share your screen, Scott.
Okay.
I want you guys to notice mortgage strategy number 12. It's in our mortgage strategy playlist on our website, is Seller Buy Downs by Scott Nicholson. So there's a 12-minute interview where Scott walked through a couple different seller buy downs. And if you scroll down, you can actually see the links. So actually it looks like there's 3. So there's 3 links, and you can, one, I recommend that you have these links clicked on. So when you watch this video, let me stop the recording there. When you watch it, have all 3 of these in front of you. And so one, that is an educational resource that we have for you guys. You can see a lot of Mortgage Coach members, we've already got 828 views of that. So check that out. Also a reminder, we have a seller buy down playbook on LinkedIn. I'll show a copy of that in a minute. So there's a couple resources outside of the call that we're doing. And with that said, Scott, why don't you pull up one of your seller buy downs right now? And remember, the way I want you to go through it is close as how you would describe it if you were doing a Realtor Lunch and Learn. So don't explain it to us like, we're loan officers. You just told a seller buy down story. You said a very concise sentence or 2, and now you're going to actually show it online. And by the way, one last thing, while I've seen a lot of PowerPoints, and by the way, I think I use PowerPoints all the time, and I think they're great. And I think it's okay for you to have a PowerPoint as part of your Realtor Lunch and Learn. But the most powerful things you're going to do, it's going to be the story that you tell, and it's going to be when you show the actual TCA, and then you say to them, hey, if you'd like me to do one of these for one of your buyers or your sellers, it'll have their name, it'll have their assumptions, it'll have that property. And so let me know. So, because remember, the goal of the Lunch and Learn, it's to build your brand, it's to deliver value, but it's to get them to say, hey, that awesome seller buy analysis that you walked me through, I want that for this property.
Yep.
Oh, I'm currently in counter offer process with the Smith family, and I need to get them off the fence and into escrow. Can you do one of those for the Smith family? So if you don't spend a good amount of time with the TCA live, not a slide, not a picture,
right,
but a live experience where they can see that it can be shared. They can see that you can add a video. You remember, you want them to go, I need one of those things. So if you don't have that and all you show is pictures and all you do is mention it in a generic way, you're not going to get as many leads out of your Lunch and Learn. And that, by the way, that is the biggest mistake I'm seeing out there in Mortgage Coach land, is that people are like insights, ideas, slide, and there's not enough personal engagement with stories, and then there's not enough live case study, let me do one of these for you, so back to you, Scott.
Yeah, so that's a great point, because if you look at that video that you posted, which is just a 2-minute snippet of my whole presentation, that Lunch and Learn, is let me back up. Before I started that presentation, I was speaking to the broker the night before. And he goes, okay, I carved out some time. You got 20 minutes. It could be 5 minutes. I don't know. It could be 20. Shoot, it could be an hour, right? Well, it turned into an hour and a half. So, and one of the things I wanted from him, and I kind of caught him off guard, I go, send me a problem property. Send me some problems, right? Because, that's the whole thing going into 19. I've always built my business around as a problem solver. Not, credit-wise, all that stuff, but I like to figure things out. So I actually got the property, worked on my seller buy down TCA, really my seller buy down, and that's what was my main focus, to an actual listing of one of the agents inside of that office. And you can see at the tail end of the video, you'll see the interaction with the listing agent, and she goes, it was funny, she goes, oh my gosh, so how does this work? So do I introduce you to the buyer's agent's lender so I can teach them? And I go, well, no, if you got this, I gave the whole solution. If they can't figure it out, it's a polite way of me saying, hey, you need to step in and take over. I can do that. And so it started the engagement. Then it started other hand raising. Well, I got one. And so that's what you want. And so I have an actual live one we're in the middle of negotiating with right now. So I'll show it to you. Okay,
so guys, he's going to show it to you. Dan Keller will be here in 5 to 10 minutes. So Scott, as soon as Dan shows up on video, let's transition to him. Remember, folks, this is a mastermind. So if you have questions, if you have things you want us to cover, we're only 26 minutes into this. We've got another 35 minutes. So feel free to ask us questions or share ideas. So rock it out and be ready for Dan.
Yep. Tell me how. Oh, share, right?
Yep. Share screen. Ba-boom.
Okay.
You see it. And by the way, I like seeing that little rate watch in the background. It looks like you are a all-in mortgage coach, badass.
Can you see my screen? You see it all?
I can, and I love the fact that you got a video in this. Great job, buddy.
Okay. So here's the problem. So Brad, one of my agents, has a property, just went to market recently, list price, and at value too. We have comp, so $1,995,000, right? And so sat there for maybe a couple of weeks. We had an offer come in. So we've had a couple offers. So an offer came in, and they offered, I think it was like $1,830,000-ish or something in that range. So they're coming in quite low. And so now remember, the buy down is your plan B. Sure, if Brad can sell this or your agent can sell it for $1,995,000, shoot, way go, great. But it's not the first go-to solution. It's if something's going wrong here, and what we have here is a low ball offer.
Scott, I want to make sure I understand. So everything that you just said, is that what you would say in a Realtor Lunch and Learn?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. And so I'm sorry. I got sideways. So I just want to
make sure it's clear, like, when you're going to start, kind of, that's cool. If you're setting it up, fine. But I do want to make sure we have a clear delineation when it goes from, hey, you're a coach and leader coaching up the community to, I am showing you how I present in the Lunch and Learn. Just make sure you delineate that.
Yep.
And then when you start, we want to like have a script. How does a guy like you show up in a Lunch and Learn? I want to hear that. I want to know that.
Okay, so let's get back on where I am in the office presentation. I told my story. I gave my 3-to-1 sentence, right? Let them think about that. I explained what the seller buy down strategy is by definition, right? And then now here it is. So Dave, now here is the property. Well, let's focus on this property. It's an active listing. What happened here? Now we got a lowball offer. So here's Dan. So I'll pause and let Dan come in off his sport fishing.
Got it. Let's stop sharing your screen. And so by the way, guys, we're going to come back to that in a minute. If you could click stop sharing. Dan Keller, what's up, my brother?
What's up, my friend?
So where are you, man? Tell everybody where you're at.
I mean, look at this. This is God's country right here. I mean, that right there is a Mount Baker mountain range over there. So I'm on the middle of Puget Sound. Right out, I guess it would be west of Everett, west of Mukilteo.
Love it, man. So
and then I'm right here. I'm taking my videographer out. You can see Drew inside of there. We're getting some content. We're getting some footage for the American Dream TV. And then I'm taking a day off, brother. Join life.
Well, thanks. Let's get you in and let's get you out within 15 minutes because, I want you to enjoy where you're at right now. So Mortgage Coach Community, I asked Dan to join us because I don't know if anybody follows him on social media, but he announced yesterday morning that he is, the new American Dream TV host in Seattle. And we've got, I think there's 28 cities that American Dream is in, and over 15 of them are actual badass mortgage coaches like Dan. So Dan, I wanted you to come in because one, it's pretty incredible how many people commented on that post. I want you to tell everybody what you're doing and why you're doing it. And then we'll talk about this social post a little bit.
Well, I'm doing the American Dream. About 5 or 6. I mean, I was on stage at Mastery. What was that, 2013, Dave? I think that's when you and I kind of met. And I was talking about blogging and creating content, doing video. And we were saying it back then that it's important. I was following a guy by the name of Gary Vaynerchuk, and he was preaching that if you're not creating content, you're not blogging and doing video, your days are numbered. And so I kind of bought into that idea. And the American Dream TV is just it's just an opportunity to create content at a really, really high level. I mean, high quality content and valuable content that people like. And that post, Dave, that you're referring to, knocked my socks off, by the way, with the amount of appreciation and support that I got from it. But that's proof that people are in search of credible content. Us as mortgage loan officers and real estate professionals, holy cow. I mean, we've got more info between our ears than any news station or someone on TV could bring to the market. So it's an extension of me creating content like I already am doing it, but at a massively high level. And then just showcasing this, how incredible it is to live your American dream right here in the Seattle area.
Yeah. So guys, so first of all, the post as of about an hour ago, which was posted yesterday, has 416 likes, 253 comments, and it's been shared by Dan's friends and family and clients 12 times. So that's a, it's a milestone for Dan. 2, he's a mortgage professional who's dedicated to building a brand, personal brand, like Dan Keller. So Dan, what are some of your goals? Like when you think of who you want to be in the Seattle market, like what are a couple of your 2019 goals as it goes to building your personal brand?
Well, I said this about 2 years ago, that, people ask me all the time, like, especially my wife, like, my wife is a big time blogger and does a lot of work, sometimes on TV with celebrities and down in LA. And I make this cheesy content from my cell phone, right? And she's like, she gets it, but she was like, why did you just do that video? And I'm like, that was 30 seconds worth of gold, Jenny. And other people too, not just my wife, but the idea around content creation and my goal when I set out about a year and a half ago with creating content every single day, whether it's video or it's social media or it's blogging, is I'm like 98% plus purchase. So that means I hang out a lot and I do a lot of business with real estate professionals. And my goal is by 2020 that every real estate professional in the Seattle area knows who I am. They don't have to do business with me, and they're not going to, but they at least have to know who I am. And content, social media, it's working. By the way, if you look at a lot of those shares, they're real estate agents. And this isn't a plug for the American Dream, because I don't know if they're launching in any of their cities right now, but I've had 11 real estate agents in the last 2 days reach out to me, call me, hey, how do I get a part of this? And 4 of them are ballers. 4 of them are like, dude, I've cold called you for 2 years in a row and you haven't called me back. Now you're reaching out to me. So no, man, it's a movement I think that's going to go crazy up here in the Northwest. And as a loan officer, if you're in the space with real estate agents, whether you're on American Dream or you're just creating content, that should be your approach, to be known. Doesn't matter how good, I told you this yesterday, Dave. Doesn't matter how good of an attorney you are. It doesn't matter how good of a real estate agent you are or a loan officer you are. If nobody knows who you are, you're going to go broke.
Boom. So guys, did you hear that? 11, 24 hours. I mean, a 24-hour period, you could post something. 11 agents, 4 of them ballers, have reached out and said, hey, I want to be part of this. So, by the way, let's give Jenny a plug, because my wife loves her Instagram. Make sure everybody knows how to follow Jenny, and give Jenny like 30 seconds of love here.
So my wife and I both, so in 2006, she created a blog called The Story of Us, and really got me really up to speed on how to take really great photos and style and stage. And her blog, because of the photos she took and the content that she created, took off and went viral in mom's space. And then she started doing baking and decorating and home decor, and now she's blown up. I mean, she's got, she goes down into LA and does stuff for celebrities, throws parties with them and for them. She has just huge accounts that reach out to her and pay her to post stuff on social media because she's got such a tribe. She's got about 100,000 followers on Instagram. And so now it's a full-on business. Content creation for her is a business. And I'm going to be honest with you, I've learned a ton from her. And so I see what she's doing and I try to do it. Mortgage is not sexy by any means. What she does is super sexy. So it's a little bit tougher in our space, but there's a little plug for my wife.
Well,
Jenny
by
Cookies.
The way, Jenny Cookies. There you go, guys. So by the way, if you don't follow Jenny Cookies on Instagram, you should. And not only follow Jenny yourself, but give it to your wife, give it to your family members. It's good stuff. So cool. So Dan, anything else you want to share before we get into wrap up mode? We let you just focus on being in the Puget Sound and catching some salmon.
Yeah, we're gonna get some salmon and crab today. No, man, I just wanted to jump in. We talked yesterday, and hey, content is king right now. So you don't have to start a blog, you don't have to have a TV show, but social media. Have a strategy where you post once or twice a week on social media, and it just could be the story of your life, what you're doing. But it works. It's creating that post, Dave, that you mentioned is proof that I'm creating a tribe on social media that's genuinely interested in what I'm doing because of the content that I've created over the last couple of years, man. It's not going to happen overnight, but there's no better time than to start right now.
So couple of things, Dan. One, would you be willing to just do an interview with me next week where you and I do an interview and we talk about personal marketing? You know, while I do want to mention, American Dream TV, everybody can't do that. There's only one per city, and we've already got 28 cities covered. And by the way, if anybody's listening to this and by the way, you have to be a baller. So if you are killing it, doing over 100 loans a year, and you're in a city where, American Dream doesn't have a host, Craig Sewing is a personal friend, and he's kind of given mortgage coach loan officers first right of refusal on cities. So if you are in a city that's not already got a host, reach out to me, dave@mortgagecoach.com, or private message me, and I'll hook you up with Craig. But Dan, would you be willing to do another interview with me on just becoming the digital mayor in your city? Would you do that with me next week?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so guys, we're going to do that. If you have a question that you want to make sure I ask Dan when we do that next interview, post it down below. If you're watching this on YouTube, post it. If you're watching it on Facebook, post it. If you're watching it in Zoom, post it. And I'll make sure all those questions are put together, and I'll make them part of my interview with Dan next week. Dan, any last words for the community before you rock it out and get back to your passion?
Yeah, if you're not already following Gary Vaynerchuk and Grant Cardone on social media, Instagram, and Facebook, just do it, and you'll see what I'm talking about. These guys every single day, just like Dave's doing. Dude, you create so much content. You're motivating me more than anyone right now because of all the content you're doing twice a week? At least twice a week. And Dave's a living example that this is legit. It's real. It's here to stay. And if a guy like Dave and Gary Vaynerchuk and Grant Cardone are doing it, we better be doing it. That's my final words.
Yeah, I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. And by the way, follow American Dream TV. And, again, I'll start, putting a little love around the other mortgage coach leaders. Kelly Zitlow is doing the American Dream and killing it. Andy Tuttle, doing the American Dream and killing it. And so we've got a lot of amazing mortgage coach leaders and professionals doing it. So, Dan, we're going to let you jump. Oh, by the way, Scott, do you have any questions for Dan before we let him jump? I just want to make sure you get a chance.
No, that's great. I know you're a big seller buy down guy. What a great platform to get that out to the masses.
Scott, huge. I'm glad you plugged that because you guys also motivated me, especially you, Scott, to get my ass in gear and start talking and creating content about the seller buy down. Yep. And one of the American Dream realtors just reached out to me the other day. And I think she was probably stalking me on Facebook to see who I was. And $100 million producer said, I need this. I need more of this. I have no clue, but this is money. Yep. And I mean, so we got to get that message out to the public too, man. It's huge. So thank you for your inspiration and leadership, man.
No, good stuff. Congratulations. Good luck with that.
Yeah, you too.
Have a good one, Dan. Have a good time out on the water.
All right, guys. See you later.
All right. Take care, brother. Wow. So, man, this is 40 minutes into our Friday Mastermind. I thought that was a home run. What'd you think, Scott?
Well, yeah, I could have been on the in my golf cart done in my live broadcast, but I'm sitting here. That was great. I mean, and that, I mean, from my mind too, right, is like, okay, what are you going to do with that? I mean, so, man, you're on top of the world sitting up there. So, I mean, media came to my mind, shoot, what a great, to spread the word of the gospel into your agents and the seller buy down. I mean, shoot, I mean, it's the top of, you're a sniper. That's the top of the perch, and you can do some great, I don't use the word, whatever, hunting.
Exactly. So by the way, guys, if you're getting value from today's mastermind, way you show the love is give us a like in whatever social platform you're in. Share this with your friends. Share this with your team. You know, make sure that everybody in your branch, everybody in your region that you think would be interested in building personal brand and doing lunch and learns, make sure they get this message. So Scott, let's get back. Why don't you share your screen again?
Yep.
And let's just, you know, you've already framed it. You know, if anybody, you know, hasn't watched the whole call, you can go back a few minutes and listen to Scott frame it. And let's just role play. Like, pretend that I am a realtor in a lunch and learn, and you're showing me the seller buy down, the total cost analysis. And by the way, I don't know if you do this or not, but like if you ask people questions, so like you show them something and you like engage the audience, just I'll be the audience, you know, engage me. I want to really role play and let people get a feel for how you go through the TCA in a live one-to-many experience.
Right. Well, yeah. Sorry, my focus was on getting the right presentation for you. I didn't hear you. So sorry. So
okay, so pull it up. If you could enlarge it on your screen so it takes up your whole screen.
Yeah.
And then I've asked you to role play. So pretend that you're talking to a room full of realtors, and if you do, while you're showing it, if you engage with the realtor, engage with me. Let's roll.
Okay. So Dave, so think of, you know, the big picture. I'm going to go back into our meeting and how I framed Dave up just for a sec. So everybody listening, I'm going to go back to our original topic and how we're setting it up. So one, I told that story, right? I used the White Walkers, right? And coming in. And second, I used the 3-to-1 ratio, right? And have them like understand from their perspective, wow, I mean, that's an amazing statistic if you think about it. And then I explained what it is. So now I'm on the part of what it looks like and how to implement it, right? So Dave, so as I was just explaining and how what the seller buy down is and what the 3-to-1 ratio is, what I did was I took one of your agent's listings. Here it is here, 12510. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to show you, because I know this listing from some background. This has been on the market for a while. It had several price reductions, so I know there's value there. But what's happened is you're getting lowball offers, and you know the seller's not willing to budge. So with that, let's go ahead and fix this problem. So for example, what this is a seller buy down report. I've taken the data that you've given me or the agent has given me. I loaded this. And this is how we present or counter a buyer and the buyer's agent on how to structure. And what I'm going to educate you, Dave, as the listing agent, but we're going to use this, how we counter and educate the potential buyer and buyer's agent. Does that make sense, Dave?
That makes perfect sense, Scott, and cannot wait to hear you do that.
Okay, great. So so I'm going to show you 4 columns. I'm going to basically walk through it, and I'm going to simplify this for you. So the first column is, all it is where you're priced at right now. $499, I'm going to put 10% down. Here's all the data points to that. Here's our purchase price, loan amount, interest rate, cash to close, income to qualify. That's what a traditional buyer is staring at the face when they're trying to buy your listing. What could happen here in the price reduction, right? In the price reduction is a specific number. It's $16,700. And where I derive that number is that's how much I'm going to need for my rate. And I'll get to that in a second. But let's go ahead and do a price reduction for that amount, and let's see what the numbers look like. So column 2, I'm going to reduce it by the 6.7. Here's the financial benefits, and I'll just summarize here. We just saved the buyer $103,000 for the $16,000 price reduction, right? So you're probably thinking, okay, good, but no, we can do better. And here's that 3-to-1 ratio, Dave, we spoke about, the third column. So if we get a fair price, and you and I both know we got comps and it's fair price, shoot, you started your listing as you described to me. It was at, I think you said 659. Actually, this one actually 650. So if I do the same 16,000, but I take it to rate, watch how the numbers start to change dramatically. $599, a fair priced offer, same down. Loan amount, I've taken my rate to 4 5/8. Look at my cash to close. It's identical to column 1, basically. Look at my income to qualify, my payment, and look at my savings. So now my savings with a rate reduction is now 3 times the size as the price reduction. You see the financial benefits here. Now, I'll spin it in another perspective on how much this is relative. And I know you think price point, Dave, as a listing agent, sales price. Look at the 4th column. We would have to reduce your listing $64,011, which is a sales price of $534. And I run the numbers. Look at the monthly payment on that 4th column. It's $34.70. Look at the payment in the 3rd column, the rate reduction, $34.70. Look at the income to qualify. So think of the 3-to-1 ratio. Remember we spoke about that when we opened all this topic, is 16.7 times 3, it's basically $64,000. So we have a 3-to-1 ratio of where we can take the 1 to rate, it's equivalent to 3 to price. David?
Sorry about that, man.
Yeah.
You know, I going from mute and I'm commenting to some folks.
Yeah.
By the way,
Yeah.
so a lot of buzz online. People are digging this. So by the way, Scott, everybody on this call, we've got less than 15 minutes left. We got Scott Nicholson. How many Lunch and Learns do you think you've done?
Oh, shoot. Probably 30-ish.
So done over 30. How many total realtors do you think you have delivered the seller buy down, you know, conversation in a Lunch and Learn format?
1,000.
Okay, so guys, listen to this. Here is a guy that's done over 30, that's communicated this to 1,000, and he probably does more reno business and more seller buy down business than anybody. I mean, he's one of the top in the country at this strategy. He's on the call right now. If you have questions, get them in here. And by the way, if we don't get to your questions, I'll do another interview with him after this and we'll get your questions answered. So if you have a question, let us know what it is now. So keep it going, Scott. I just wanted to.
Remember how I changed the kind of dialogue with you, and I changed your rollout. You know, I presented you the 3-to-1 as a listing agent. Then I spun it another way for Dave, the buyer's agent. So let's take this is Dave's listing. So the first thing I do is I present to the listing agent and I educate Dave, the listing agent, and show him the impact of this. And then we take it to market. Then we take it to that offer. Then we take it to social media or whatever. Let me pause for a second. Here's something I just learned. We ran the data for the entire county of Los Angeles. Did you know you can go, the agent can go into their MLS and there's a box they can check that says seller paid points? Did you know that?
No.
You can do that. The agents can do that. So we ran the data the other day and we ran the search. LA County, I mean, it's massive. You know how many people did that? 3.
How many? Wow.
Think about that. It's there. It's already there for you to market. And then you know what? We looked at those 3. Guess of the 3 had comments. So think of this. What I'm saying is 3 of them did it. But that's comments directly to the agents who's searching, right? So if a buyer's agent searching for seller paid points, they'd come up with 3 properties in all of LA County from 2 days ago. And of those 3 properties, 1 took the comments forward into public comments so that average consumer can see that. Think about that. What a great little nugget you can take into your realtor presentations going, guys, why are we not losing? So think of this. In towards the end of it, how do we implement this? I mean, there's a great little piece. Why is no one marketing? Because they don't know, right? Which is amazing. So let me do this. Let me reframe the whole buy down real quickly into a situation 2 days ago we took on. Where is it? I pulled it up too.
So, by the way, a couple people have messaged in Zoom that, hey, what about American Dream TV in this city? I'm not going to respond in the chats here. If you, want to look at it, email me. dave@mortgagecoach.com or PM me in some social environment. Let me know how much business you do and give me a link to something you've done on social just so I can check it out before I refer you to Craig. And I'll introduce you to Craig, because like I said, Craig has, for me, helping promote the show and shining a light on it, he is giving mortgage coach loan officers first nod. He also just believes that a mortgage coach loan officer is going to be the best teacher, the best educator, the best on social media in the markets. So Craig, knows that our community is the best. So if you want to do it, Dave at Mortgage Coach. Don't just put it in Zoom here, because I've seen a few of those come in. So what are we looking at, Scott?
So what we had an offer go out Tuesday. So we had an offer going out. It's an FHA purchase. My client, which I have pre-approved, underwritten, all that good stuff, we are maxed out. We are pretty much redlined on an FHA. And this is all the first-time home buyer they want to afford and they can afford, right? So it's the 375 is where I kind of capped them at, right in there. We have just a smidge margin because that's usually how it works out. So we offered 375 for the property. They countered us at 399. I jumped in because my buyer's agent said, Scott, I need your help. So I said, okay, what do we got? Okay, great. We wrote the offer for 375. They counters 399. I go, great. So I quickly ran to my TCA. I put a TCA together for this one for my client. And I go, great. I want you to counter them back at $399 with $59.85 back in concessions, and I'm going to reduce their rate, which is going to reduce their payment. Now I can get them qualified. So what we did is we put a 30-year fixed FHA loan together at their counter offer to us with concessions. I turned to discount points, and we're opening escrow. That's how simple it is. So think about this. I'm taking a client at 375 and I just got him 24,000 more house for basically, in essence, the same payment.
So this is awesome. We only have 7 minutes left.
Yep.
And I want to make sure, to me, the two most important things of this, guys, the opening story, the stories you tell, the fact that you show a total cost analysis, and then the call to action. So what do you say in the event so that people will, call you up and say, hey, will you do one of those? And by the way, what do you call them? Do you call it a total cost? What do you call the mortgage coach experience to realtors? Like, what are they going to call you and ask for? And by the way, you can stop sharing your screen now.
Oh, sorry.
No problem.
Yeah. So the question was, what do I tell my agent to call? Or
what's your call to action? How do you get them to call you and say, hey, will you do X for me? Like, give us your scripting. You're live. You just showed a TCA. How do you drive that call to action to get leads?
And so, there's the multitude of ways you can present it. So I have a multitude of lines out there that I'm fishing. If you want to use Dan Keller's fishing, right? There's multiple ways I have lines out that will get fish on for me, right? One would be, for an example, we're getting into a presentation, we're getting countered. How do I bridge the gap between what the seller wants and the buyer wants? And the name for it is just pretty simple, seller buy down, right? And then what problem can I solve with that, if that makes sense? I didn't necessarily answer the question. I don't have a detailed, whatever name for it, so to speak. Everything's a seller buy down. It's just where can I fix with it, or what can I fix with it?
Got it. So by the way, guys, I always like to learn faster together. So if you have a call to action, what you exactly say that gets people to call you and give you leads, post it in the social channel you're watching this. I want to give some scripting. So first of all, I think it's important that you told this great story. You showed things. You never been in a restaurant and you got okay service at the end. They just got so nice and just killed it in the last couple exchanges, and you're like, oh, so you can give bad service, but when it comes time to get the money, it makes a difference. So here's what I want everybody to do. You're doing a lunch and learn. I hope you opened strong. I hope you told a great story. I hope you showed the TCA, but your close, your last 3 to 5 minutes of that lunch and learn is where all the money's made. So let me finish that.
Yeah, go ahead.
So get happy, get excited, like elevate your personality and go, and guys, I would love to do one of these. If you've got a listing that, you're in the conversation or you're worried about having a conversation about price reduction, I want to do one of these for you. I want to make that conversation with your seller better. So if you want to reach out to me and I'll put one of these together, me and my team will put this together. Come see me after the event, text me. I want to help you sell homes. I want to help make your conversations with sellers better. And then buyers, if you've got a buyer where you're in the counteroffer analysis process, or you have a buyer where you think I can create some urgency and clarity with my seller buy down. And by the way, remind them, I have a rent versus own too. And I have a cost awaiting. So you want to your close is, I want to do one of these seller buy down analysis for you. And then your close is, and I can do a rent versus own, and I could do a cost awaiting, or I could just help a family understand and get clarity around their mortgage options. So make sure your close is passionate, elevated, and then again, they call for TCAs. So Scott, we got 3 minutes left. It's all you.
Couple things. So I'm sorry, I'm trying to click off technology and listen to you at the same time. So my focus. So here's Dave's point to where, and I'll give it to you. If I'm closing this presentation, right, the Lunch and Learn, here's how I close them is, guys, so listing agents. So think of what I taught you. So from here forward, how do we maximize the net from your sellers and protect the integrity of price values in your farm? I need to be included in those negotiations with those offers moving forward. So let's not let the lowball offers or the integrity of a price reduction just to sell it fast erode away the market. Because as a lender, and I'm on another transaction in your farm, and I got to go in there and get comps, and you're bringing them down at a 3-to-1 ratio in a bad way, we're going to have problems. Buyer's agents, Dave, I want to be included in all your buyers' pre-quals because there's two reasons why. I can help maintain the affordability in a raising price market, in a raising rated market. I can maintain affordability for every one of your buyers. I can either get them comfortably in there or move them. The example I gave you, I gave them $24,000 more house for the same price. Second thing, Dave, because of my unique background as a renovation loan officer, we can either pivot to a health and safety property, buy as is, and make that the dream house, or if we come on a perfect turnkey house, we can make it affordable for all your buyers.
Boom. So guys, this has been a fantastic call. Dan Keller blew it up. Hopefully he inspired you to create more content, become the digital mayor of your market. Hopefully Scott gave you a combination of confidence and clarity on how you can show up at Realtor Lunch and Learns. One more minute. Scott, you have something else to share?
Yeah, two things I'll help with. Number one, I'm building my PowerPoint, 2019 PowerPoint for my large Lunch and Learn. I'll give it to you. And think of the books that you need to read, right? And you turned me on to them, Dave, back in the day, is Slideology, Nancy Duarte, and Presentation Zen. I mean, literally you'll see my PowerPoints, which I'll provide. I'll have nothing on it other than the points. Is like, for example, it'll be a 3-to-1 in that slide. And you create dialogue and conversations from that. The second thing, and pigging to Dan, what Dan is doing, next week probably, I've gone to another level. I've hired an entire team, right, to take my buy down to the market. We are launching statewide, citywide, nationally with the seller buy down, creating the content, creating everything turnkey in there to not help the direct consumer, but help the listing agents, help the buyer's agents. That's going to market, and it's an incredible kind of feat. It's almost like the eighth wonder of the world. That's probably coming out next week. I'll give a sneak peek at that, and kind of help some people move that direction, because Dan's right? You can have the best strategy, but if you got a small little platform, it's going to be hard to get going. So for example, I'm building boots on the ground with my Lunch and Learns, and I'm going to have boots in the air with my internet platform.
Well, I can't wait to see how you package this digitally. Sounds like you're going to have a website. Sounds like you're going to have both an SEO strategy as well as some content to really, be the seller buy down mare of the city that you live in. So Mortgage Coach community, tune in, pay attention to that. If you are not already engaged in our Facebook group, this is a place where you can make money on Facebook. So sign up, engage, ask questions in Facebook Productivity Mastermind. If you are not watching at least one of our Facebook videos every week, you're losing money. Think of change the paradigm. The Mortgage Coach YouTube channel is Netflix for loan officers. Only you make money on it. And by the way, I hear all the time that they're not just watching the videos, they're using it like a podcast. So you're just playing it while you drive and listening to it. So one a week. If you got value from today's call, like it, share it with your friends. And this call is a wrap. Take it easy, Scott, brother.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, everybody.